Once upon a time, in a faraway village, there lived an old man named Tari. Tari was not rich, but he had a very beautiful and happy family. He was a hardworking farmer, but he didn't have a farm of his own. Instead, he worked on other people's farms. Tari made sure his wife and children were always satisfied, even though they didn't have much. Tari's wife was beautiful and worked as a trader in the market, selling vegetables and fruits. Every morning, she prepared her goods with a smile and went to the market to support the family. Tari and his wife had 3 children, 2 sons and a pretty daughter. They were all happy and loved each other deeply. Though they didn't have much money, their home was filled with love and joy. In the evenings, after a long day's work, Tari would come home tired but content. His wife welcomed him with a warm meal, and the children ran to hug him. They would sit together, laugh, and share stories. Tari's life was simple, filled with love and joy, showing that true worth is measured by the happiness shared with those you care about. Tari had many friends in the village, but they were all wealthier than him. As time went on, these friends began to drift away because Tari was not as rich as they were. They didn't want to be seen with someone who was so poor. Tari felt sad, but he always told himself, "My family is what matters most." One day, there was a big gathering in the village. Tari decided to go, hoping to enjoy some time with his old friends. When he arrived, he saw his friends laughing, eating, and drinking together. They seemed happy to see him at first and invited him to join them. Tari sat down and shared a meal with his friends, but after they finished eating, something happened that made Tari feel very sad. One of his friends stood up and said, "Tari, since you are not as rich as us, you should pack the plates." Tari was shocked. He said, "We are all friends, and I'm older than you are. Just because I don't have as much money as you doesn't mean you can treat me this way. Everyone should pack their own plate." But his friends laughed and said, "If you don't pack the plates, we'll tell the seller that you haven't paid. That will be even more embarrassing for you." Tari had no choice. He packed the plates and left the gathering, feeling very sad and humiliated. He walked home slowly, thinking about how unfairly he had been treated. When he got home, his wife noticed he was unhappy and asked Tari what had happened. Tari sighed and replied, "My friends treated me badly today because I am not as rich as they are, but it doesn't matter. I will always do my best for you and our children." Tari continued to work hard every day despite the way his friends treated him. He knew that his family needed him, and he was determined to make sure they were always happy and taken care of. Even though he was sad, his love for his family kept him strong. Tari was known in the village for his hard work. He worked on many different farms, but he never had a farm of his own. He would spend long hours in the hot sun planting and harvesting crops. Sometimes the people he worked for would not pay him right away. They would say, "Come back tomorrow, Tari," but when he returned, they would still not pay him. Tari's friends, who were wealthier, often took advantage of him. They would ask him to do menial and degrading tasks like washing their clothes or cleaning their houses. One day, Tari asked a friend for some money to buy food for his family. His friend laughed and said, "If you want money, you must clean my house and wash my clothes." Tari felt humiliated but agreed because he needed the money to feed his family. He spent the whole day cleaning and washing, and by the time he was done, he was exhausted. His friend gave him a small amount of money, much less than what he had earned, but Tari took it without complaining. Another time, Tari worked on a friend's farm from sunrise to sunset. He worked tirelessly, but when it was time to get paid, his friend said, "I don't have the money right now, come back next week." Tari felt frustrated, but he had no choice. He needed the work to support his family. Despite all the unfair treatment and hard work, Tari never gave up. He would wake up early every day and go to work, no matter how tired he was. He knew his family depended on him, and he wanted to make sure they had enough to eat and a roof over their heads. The time for harvest arrived, and Ta knew it was a chance to earn some money. He decided to approach Chief Azuka, the richest man in the village, who had the biggest farm. Ta hoped that working for Chief Azuka would help him provide better for his family. Early one morning, Ta went to Chief Azuka's house and greeted him respectfully. "Good morning, Chief Azuka. I would like to help with the harvest on your farm." "I have my 2 sons who can help too," Ta said. Chief Azuka looked at Ta and said, "Very well, Ta. My farm is large, and I need all the help I can get. You can start tomorrow." The next day, Ta and his 2 sons woke up before the sun rose. They made their way to Chief Azuka's farm and began working tirelessly. They worked under the hot sun, picking crops and placing them in large sacks. They worked through heavy rain, determined to finish the harvest on time. Ta's sons were strong and hardworking, just like their father. Together, they made a great team. Day after day, they labored on Chief Azuka's farm, their hands rough and their backs aching, but they never complained because they knew their hard work would bring food and happiness to their family. Finally, after many days of hard work, the harvest was complete. The crops were neatly packed in sacks and stored in the barn. Ta felt a sense of accomplishment and relief. He wiped the sweat from his brow and said to his sons, "We did it. Now, let's go and get our payment from Chief Azuka." Ta went to Chief Azuka and said, "Chief, we have finished the harvest. Can we please have our payment?" Chief Azuka nodded and handed Ta some money. "Here is 1/3 of what I owe you. Come back tomorrow for the rest," Chief Azuka said. Ta was surprised. Chief Azuka had never asked him to return for the rest of the payment before, but he took the money and thanked the chief. When Ta returned home, he gave some money to his wife and said, "Cook a delicious meal for the children tonight, they deserve it." That night, Ta's wife noticed he was not sleeping. She turned to him and asked, "Ta, why are you so moody? Did something happen at Chief Azuka's farm?" Ta sighed and replied, "Chief Azuka did not pay me fully. He told me to come back tomorrow.